Essentially, the activities related to climate proofing for each of these stages are similar. We start with scoping, where we basically are trying to identify the different climate threats or the threats due to climate change or the different risks. And once we have identified them, then we go on to assess the risk. In risk assessment, we basically put a score on each of these threats and try to find out how serious it is and whether it requires treatment or not. And here we are looking at the traditional risk assessment approach that has been well documented in many standards, where we look at the probability of a particular risk, and we also look at the severity and find the product between the two that defines the level of the risk. And if we think that this is a risk that needs treatment, we identify the possible treatment options and analyze them to see if they are feasible, and then choose the best. In some cases, it may not be possible to choose a physical treatment, and that we may just need to monitor the risk and go on. Or in other cases, maybe we may need to go one step back and identify another project alternative or another treatment option. So it's kind of a bit of iterative, this risk treatment and risk assessment. And then for each stage, we would have to set up like a monitoring and evaluation plan that will be carried forward for the next level, because it may be that at sector level, we have decided that we will handle projects in a particular way, that the selection of a particular project should consider a particular treatment, and then at the identification, maybe we find out that it's not working as expected, and then we have to go back and review that decision. But essentially, we have the same stages or the same approaches that we scope at each level. We do the risk assessment, and then we find out the risk treatment options, and then we decide on the interventions and design them into the projects, and then move on, create a monitoring and evaluation plan, and move on to the next stage. A key difference between the stages is that the data available is not the same. So when you're making sector plans, you do not know really about the individual projects, but you have a general idea. For example, at the country level, what are the climate threats? So you use that data, and the analysis is a little bit rough compared to, for example, the project identification level. At the project identification level, you're looking at a number of different projects, and you're trying to select the best project. For example, maybe you're trying to build a dam for water supply in a catchment, and you have a number of sites that you think might be better, that might be probably offer a choice, and then you're going to check which is the better site. So at this level, you're not able to look so much into detail into the different components, but you are able to use some kind of a pre-feasibility study to say something about the climate, and maybe you're looking at using regional reports to glean some information about which project or which project formulation might be better. And then when you're done with that and decided that this project or project A is better than project B, you go on to the project preparation with that project that you've decided to take forward, and then you start looking deeper into the components. And at that stage, you might actually sometimes find that you may have to go back to the previous project, but in many cases, maybe you don't have to, but then you probably have to then look at options for particular components. Should we have a longer spillway? Should we have a smaller spillway? Or should we use what material, and then so on and so forth. But always asking the key questions on climate proofing. And it's the same thing with the resource mobilization, construction, and operation and maintenance.